Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Friday?
Doing great. Had a great Christmas yesterday. I hope everyone else did too. The games were interesting, I guess, given that some of them didn't mean anything, but still watched some of them.
Well,
Yeah,
the number of the games meant some of the Lions are eliminated from the playoffs now. The Broncos
they're not eliminated.
They're virtually eliminated. There's really no way they can make the playoffs. They would need so much help.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Colts. The Colts technically aren't eliminated, but they're probably done. The Broncos, they're getting close to the number 1 seed. We'll see how the Chargers-Texans play out this week. And then the Commanders-Cowboys, that was just a battle of the bums, and that's what it turned out to be. It wasn't great football whatsoever. Unless fantasy-wise, there you go. Then it meant something. If you have George Pickens or any one of them on your fantasy team, then it would mean something. But we got a lot to talk about today, a lot to get into. We had some bombshell reports that broke. We're going to get into that, as well as Week 17 picks. We got only 2 more weeks of the regular season to get into. I got to somehow gain some ground on you, and I think it's going to be a big Week 18 of differences because I don't really disagree with a lot of your picks this week. We're going to get into that a little bit later. I will say, before this show does start, you have to watch the show. I have 4 picks for the Harvey Hot Hand this week because I already made one 2 weeks ago, and it barely passed this week, which is the Broncos pick. 5.5. You got to watch the show. You got to keep up with the point spread. So we only have 4 picks for the Harvey Hot Hand this week. We already 1-0 because of the Broncos game. We went 4-1 last week. So, again, watch the show in order to get the best picks, best spreads. So here we go. Let's start with the first topic of today's show, which I think is a pretty big bombshell report coming out of the Baltimore Sun. Mike Preston, a very notable writer for the Baltimore Sun, he says that there is a rift between Lamar Jackson and the rest of the organization. And also, there were some quotes that I'm going to talk about right now, which is, quote, a major problem, a lot of it on the Ravens, is that there are team rules and then there are rules for Jackson. That's why Baltimore practices in the heat of the afternoon instead of in the morning. That's one. Another quote. Once the Ravens become critical of Jackson, he becomes more withdrawn. It's a shame because Jackson isn't a mean-spirited person, just an overgrown kid in an adult's body. Not great quotes, if this is indeed true, coming from Mike Preston of the Baltimore Sun. So my question to you is, and it seems like there is a pretty big rift. I mean, every time Lamar's a little bit banged up, John Harbaugh gets a question about, how's Lamar doing? He goes, I have no idea. So it doesn't look great. If we remember a couple years ago, the contract situation, that whole thing. So my question to you is this situation lining up for Lamar Jackson to be in a different uniform in 2026?
Maybe, but I'm personally don't think so. For the major reason being money. I think that I heard that Harbaugh is tired of Jackson and the preferential treatment he receives from the franchise. You mentioned a couple of things there in your comments. But Harbaugh backpedaled on that. He said he doesn't know where that came from. He said he's never seen that ever. Well, if they practice in the afternoon because it's warmer, and that's Jackson's preference, then I guess that's a little something. But I don't think that's such a big deal. He's owed $51.3 million and has a no-trade clause. He'd have a cap hit of $74.5 million, so there's big money here. Extension discussions are still ongoing. He's only 29 years old. He has 2 years remaining on that 5-year deal, which was $260 million, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, I think, back when it was finalized. But now he's the 10th highest paid quarterback on an average annual basis, so he's looking for more money for sure, and his age would dictate that he probably should get it. His performance, well, I guess maybe a little spotty this year, but because he's had injuries and he has been somewhat injury prone over his career. He's missed December twice in the last 7 or 8, 6 or 7 years. So that's an issue. So I don't know. If he wants to be traded, I think the place he wants to go is Miami because that's his hometown. He'd be going back home. The Dolphins have already benched Tua. They probably can't work this one financially, I don't think, because you got Tua on the one hand, you got to do something about, and then you'd have to do some sort of extension with Jackson. There's 99 million of dead money in Tua's deal, depending on when they would let him go. So I think that one's going to be tough to pull off. Although they say the McDaniel-Jackson connection could be electric, because McDaniel touted as being one of the best offensive minds in football, and Jackson one of the most athletic players. Maybe Tyreek Hill would want to stay in Miami if he thought Lamar Jackson was coming there, and they still have Jalen Waddle, who was a very good wide receiver. However, their offensive line is poor. It's 23rd in pass blocking, and the run block win rate is only 30th. So that's a pretty tough situation in terms of protecting the quarterback. Another spot would be the Raiders. Geno Smith is pretty much considered a bust at this point in his first year with the Raiders. They could find a way to get off him. His contract's not that huge. Jackson would elevate that offense for sure. The receivers aren't as good as the Dolphins, however. Blake Bowers being the best of that bunch, and he may be the best tight end in football right now. Gente, the rookie running back, has been a disappointment overall, I would say, and Pete Carroll's on the hot seat. They have $104 million of cap space, however, so that's a potential. And Tom Brady loves Lamar Jackson, so there's potential there. The Jets would be another potential stopping point. The Jets haven't had a quarterback in years. They had Aaron Rodgers. First year he couldn't play it. He played 6 snaps, and the second year he was much less than what was expected. The Jets have 6 first-round draft picks this year, so they could give up as many as 3 to land Lamar Jackson. That would probably get it done. They have 4 second-round picks in the next 3 years as well. They'll probably draft a quarterback if they're at number 4, and when the draft comes around, maybe they'll be higher. I don't know. There's still a couple of games left. We'll have to wait and see. I think Aaron Glenn's probably likely to be back for his second year. He gets along well with leadership there. Woody Johnson and he are buddies, so probably gets to stay at least another year and see what they can do with a rebuild with all these picks that they have. They have Garrett Wilson, a great wide receiver. Breece Hall is a free agent, but Lamar Jackson was going to be there. Probably find a way to keep him. Their defense is weak, and that's on Aaron Glenn, because they used to have a really good defense under Saleh, and that hasn't panned out that way this year. They don't even have 1 interception. So I don't know. Others that might be interested: the Falcons, the Vikings, the Browns. We'll have to wait and see.
First of all, I'll say this. Do not trade your best player away. It doesn't make any sense. Financially, you're $74.5 million dead cap back-to-back years. There's no reason to. The only acceptable answer is you extend them and fire John Harbaugh. Not only that, fire John Harbaugh, take Todd Monken with him. Because over the course of Lamar's career with Todd Monken, we've seen in the biggest spots, you go away from what works. AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have a bottom 5 running defense and a top 10 passing defense. What do? You run it with your running backs. I think it was 6 total times. That makes no sense. We've seen games where Derrick Henry touches it a grand total of maybe 8 times in the first half when you're winning. Huh? We just saw recently against the Patriots. The last 12 minutes, Derrick Henry didn't have a single carry. What? Todd Monken makes no sense. John Harbaugh apparently can't control his own quarterback, or he's giving him the preferential treatment for no reason whatsoever. He never knows what Lamar's injury status is. He always says, I don't know. How don't you know about your own quarterback? To me, that makes no sense. But we've seen this before, where Lamar and the Ravens, they have something going on. The first contract extension they signed, the exclusive franchise tag got placed on him. Everybody exploded about where's Lamar going to go? What team is going to make an offer that the Ravens may or may not match, or maybe give up a pick and go get him? There was a whole thing, because apparently Lamar wanted $200+ million of guaranteed money. The first report was he wanted to match Deshaun Watson's $240 fully guaranteed, but then it was like, no, I just want $200 fully guaranteed. It didn't make a lot of sense. Again, we're letting Deshaun Watson set the quarterback market here. To me, that never really made any sense. But this season, it's really bad. It's shockingly poor. But I also think that we have to realize that the expectation shouldn't have been as high as it has been in the past. Because, historically, running backs that have like 1,800, 1,900, 2,000 yards Same to dip the following year. Could that be fatigue? Could that be, them just being tired and exhausted from carrying it 300 plus times the prior year? Sure. We've seen it with Saquon Barkley. Last year, Derrick Henry ran the ball extremely well. Look at him this year. Not the same, level of dominance as last year. But also we have to realize paying Lamar Jackson and having the salary as big as it is, it's costly on multiple, other positions of the team. First and foremost being your offensive line. Everybody, the terrible offensive line. You read the win block rates and the run block win rates and whatnot. It's because you have fourth-round rookies starting. If Lamar didn't have this massive contract, or maybe they got it extended so you lower his cap hit, you have more cap space to operate your team a little bit better. Look at what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes when he signed his big-time deal. They're probably now going to have to rebuild their offensive line for the second time. The first time was after they got beaten down by Brady and the Bucs in the Super Bowl. Everyone's saying Lamar doesn't have great outside weapons. First of all, I think Zay Flowers is perfectly fine. There's a lot of Zay Flowers hate out there. To me, it makes no sense. Yes, did he have a costly fumble at the end zone? Sure. I think it's a great play by, I think it was L'Jarius Sneed at the time. I thought it was a great play. But he's your best guy, and I think he's an incredibly effective wide receiver. Mark Andrews. Again, bad fumble or bad drop against the Buffalo Bills. I think he also had a fumble against the Bills as well. But beside the fact, if you have a problem with the level of receiving talent that the Ravens have, well, point to Lamar, who's going to, be, I think, nearly 30% or nearly 25% of the entire Ravens salary cap next year, salary hit. So you got to lower that cap hit big time, create some more cap space so you could actually not have Lamar take 41 sacks and have the second highest QB responsible pressure rate in the National Football League. He's tied with Shedeur Sanders, and he's almost close to beating out Jackson Dart, who's at the number 1 spot. He's about 30% QB responsible pressure. So Lamar's not comfortable in the pocket. He's getting pressured when he's not actually pressured. That's what QB responsible pressures are. Nobody likes his receiving talent. No one likes his offensive line. The defense wasn't really good at all to start the year. Then it improved over time. There's too many pieces to be moved, and all signs point to John Harbaugh. So you're not going to get rid of your best guy. He's a 2-time MVP. He's the best, athletic quarterback we've ever seen. But I made a prediction a long time ago, and I have the same thing with a lot of mobile quarterbacks. You don't win by being strictly a mobile quarterback. You have to morph. Michael Vick even said that. He warned Lamar Jackson about being strictly a mobile quarterback. You got to adapt, you got to shift, you got to move. But if we're making a decision between trading, releasing, whatever, Lamar Jackson, and firing John Harbaugh, you're firing John Harbaugh 10 times out of 10. Because Lamar saved John Harbaugh's career. After they won the Super Bowl, John Harbaugh went 5 straight years and won 1 playoff game. 1 singular playoff game with Joe Flacco. Yes, did you lose Ed Reed and, Ray Lewis? Sure. But where's the adaptability? And also, John Harbaugh breaks NFL history with the most second-half chokes and fourth-quarter chokes ever. We're talking about double-digit fourth-quarter leads blown. Dozens of them. Dozens of second-half leads blown. They just fired Brian Daboll for that exact reason when his defense couldn't handle it. How does John Harbaugh get a pass? He has 1 Super Bowl win. 1 singular one. And it was over a decade ago. So if we're pointing fingers at who's, more responsible, yes, is it a bad look that he plays video games late into the night, and so he probably needs practices a little bit later in the day in the sweltering heat in September in Baltimore? Yeah, that's not a good look. That's the kind of the Kyler Murray thing. I don't love that. Do I like the preferential treatment? That's what happens with really great quarterbacks. You get preferential treatment, so I don't have a massive issue with that. What I actually do have an issue with, besides the late video game thing and you push practice a little bit later, the main thing I have an issue with is the inability to take criticism. Is it that Lamar doesn't respect who's giving him the criticism? Well, then you're losing the locker room. You have no leader. I will also say the other thing that I do have an issue with is the durability aspect. You watch the replay where Lamar got hurt, it didn't seem that catastrophic, that he's missing practices, that he has, a pretty severe back contusion. It didn't really look that severe. It was a knee to the back. But we also like this entire season he's been banged up. He's been sick. He's missed at least 1 practice for like the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks. He's missed a lot of time. He's missed January. He's missed Decembers. He's missed a lot of football games where they need him the most. It's kind of like the Tua thing, except Tua plays and performs poorly. Lamar Jackson just sometimes isn't there. And then there's the playoff Lamar, where everybody knows you're going to meet playoff Lamar at some point, where he's going to try to be Superman, and he's going to come up short. We saw that against the Chiefs, where I blame Todd Monken a lot, but look at the Titans. I mean, look at early in his career. The Buffalo Bills, that first half, interceptions. He had a bad fumble as well. He didn't perform very well. There is a playoff Lamar and a regular season Lamar. There's a reason why he won unanimous MVP and nearly won, I think, the second one. There's a reason for that. There's regular season Lamar, and then there's playoff Lamar.
He has 2 MVPs, right?
Right, yeah. But I think the second one was nearly unanimous. They gave one vote to Josh Allen at the time. So, yes, he performs extremely well in the regular season. The postseason is where you need him the most.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the super elite quarterbacks, they turn it up to another level.
Mm-hmm. So you think this is sort of an NBA situation where the great player dictates who the coach is going to be?
Oh, no. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying this actually would be more of a Mike Tomlin thing. Except Mike Tomlin somehow gets a pass because he doesn't ever have a losing season.
Well, that's a pretty good reason not to get a pass.
Right? The last time they won a playoff game was a decade ago, basically.
He's had 19 seasons of winning records.
That's great. The last time he won a playoff game was like 8 years ago.
Well, we'll see what happens this year.
They're not winning a playoff game.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. Well, not in the least.
We'll have to see. But I think, you make some good points. I'd be surprised if the Ravens fire John Harbaugh. They still have Lamar for a couple of years on his existing contract. They could, but he's going to be impossible if he's unhappy, and we've seen that before when he was going for his guaranteed money. So it's a tough situation. I think they need to try to nip it in the bud as soon as possible, or it's going to fester and some bad things are going to happen. So. If he gets traded, I think that I'd be surprised if the Dolphins could work something out. I think probably the Raiders are going to be the best opportunity.
And if I'm Lamar Jackson, I say there's no way I'm going to that abomination of a franchise.
Yeah.
There's no shot.
Oh, he has a no trade clause. So
exactly. If the Ravens go up and say, hey, we're going to trade you to the Las Vegas Raiders, first of all, what would they need to give up? Is Max Crosby going? Is Brock Bowers going? Or are they just going to, pepper the Ravens with picks?
It would have to be picks, I think, because the Raiders really don't have a lot to give.
They got a couple players.
Yeah, they could give Bowers.
I mean, you just look at the team and look at, the makeup of the team.
They don't need to give Bowers. The Ravens already have a decent tight ends. They have Likely and Andrews.
Oh, I'm looking at the two teams. What would I rather be on? The AFC West and play Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, and Patrick Mahomes twice a year. 6 total times amongst those 3 quarterbacks? Or would I rather play Joe Burrow on the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we're not sure who their next quarterback's going to be. We don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is coming back next year, and the Cleveland Browns. You also have to take that into account. Look at the division you're in. Mm-hmm. Look at the opportunity to actually take over in the division. If you're the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, what about the Jets?
The Jets have to go through Buffalo and New England. And first of all, the Jets, they have nobody. Go down their team. Who do they have of note? Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. Offensive line needs work. Tight end, I like Mason Taylor.
Mitchell. They have A.D. Mitchell.
He's been in the league for 2-3 years. He just scored his first touchdown. Not a great look. The defense is literally blown up. Brandon Stevens, the former quarterback on the Ravens, is their
first-round picks. They have 6 first-round picks next year.
And they have an opportunity to get the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. If, the Raiders beat the Giants, the Jets lose, and then week 18, something could happen where the Jets move all the way up to the number 1 spot. But again, if I'm the Jets, I'm not spending that amount of draft capital after just getting all that draft capital, being in a really prime spot.
If I were the Jets,
reset.
I'd tank to try for the number 1 spot, and then I would try to trade that to the Ravens for Lamar Jackson.
I would not do that because you got to pay him a bunch of money. He's probably going to want near top of the market, so you're looking at 56 to maybe 61 million, that range. I wouldn't do that. I'm Lamar. I'm staying in the AFC North where I have a set group. I would, if there is a rift between the head coach, I'm going to ownership and saying, hey, John Harbaugh has the most chokes in NFL history in the second half and in the fourth quarter. My OC doesn't know how to use the best running back we've had since what? Ray Rice?
So you think Harbaugh is gone then?
I'm not predicting that. I'm saying if there is a rift and Harbaugh apparently has become tired of Lamar, I'm going to management and saying, hey, remember that AFC Championship game? Remember all my MVPs? Remember where my OC didn't game plan correctly and attack the Chiefs' one weakness? Instead, we played into the Chiefs' strength where I got screwed over. How about that offensive line that is non-existent? How about my head coach who won one playoff game in the 5 years I wasn't here? We've won 3 since I've been here. I'm looking at that and saying, hey, John Harbaugh, great coach, historical coach, not good enough anymore. I'm getting a new coach and a new OC because it's not working.
Who might that be, would you think?
I would need to look at who's available in the coaching market. But I'm letting John Harbaugh go at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know John Harbaugh's contract. I would need to look into that. But to me, it doesn't matter. You got to get off. I mean, if you're known for choking in the second half, how are you lasting that long? Mike Tomlin, he's only known now for not having a losing season, not winning playoff games, not building these great rosters, not coaching up great offenses, not doing anything besides he has a really good defense that falls apart in the second half of the season. He's known for not having a losing season. And honestly, and I've said this before, that's at a deficit of the Pittsburgh Steelers because you're always hovering middle of the first round. So you're not getting elite talent, which in the top 10 picks. You're getting like A- talent. And that's maybe. You're not getting the superstar quarterback or the superstar running back or the supreme offensive lineman. You're getting Broderick Jones, who hasn't been great. You gotta, at some point you gotta start losing games. You gotta just accept fate, or somehow just pull the plug and say, hey, Mike Tomlin, you're a great coach. We need somebody new, and then tank. Again, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but I think Lamar. If there is a rift between these two, Lamar's got to go up to ownership and be like, hey, my coach, he chokes. My OC doesn't know how to use Derrick Henry, the biggest running back we've seen in like the last 15 years. I mean, he clearly still has it.
Okay, well,
25 attempt games, 130 yards still.
You have a perspective that I haven't heard yet, that Harbaugh should be canned. So we'll see what happens.
Again, it depends on if you're looking at it from a Ravens perspective, yeah, get all the draft capital you can for Lamar. If you're looking at it for, okay, how do we ensure that we have some stability and a level of success? You keep Lamar Jackson. Because your head coach, he's known for choking. He's known for second half complete collapses. Yeah. We've seen this season.
So your point of view is that Lamar could be much better than he is because the coaching has not brought out the skill that he potentially has.
Well, again, he needs to transition because he's averaging his career low, I think, in rushing yards a game, which is like 18. Right.
He got hurt.
Right, but even when you look at him play, he's not running really anymore.
He did in the first part of the season before he got hurt.
And he looked really good. Then he got hurt, came back, stopped running. And when he did run, he didn't look as confident. He would creep up a little bit. He would go into the middle of the defensive line. And then we saw against the Lions. All they did was put one QB spy there and just track Lamar the entire time. And Lamar had no answer for that. He needs to become much more of a pocket passer. He has to become... Running is second nature. Look at Mahomes. We know Mahomes for his back-breaking runs. He's not scrambling. I mean, he did this year, and look at what the Chiefs became because they didn't have a running game. Lamar needs to be that run second option guy, where if the pocket breaks down and you have an opening, then you go. He needs to be more of the passer Lamar. And maybe that is you, because right now, your cap situation is terrible. $74.5 million cap hit this and next year and the year after. You have to reduce that. You have to extend them. It's just, are you willing to pay $56 to $61 million a year on average for Lamar Jackson? That's the second part of it, which I'm sure we're going to get into in the offseason, depending on, what we hear now. This is not a good report. This makes John Harbaugh look bad more than it does Lamar Jackson. Again, the two things, the having to move practices for Lamar isn't great. I really don't like that. And then also the inability to take criticism. Don't love that.
Yeah.
Don't love that. But video game thing, staying up late.
I don't think that's a good look either.
It's the Kyler Murray thing.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't a good look for him. They tried to put in his contract that he would watch film at least a certain number of hours a week.
Correct.
I mean, that's a slap in the face. I mean,
the difference is Kyler Murray, number 1 overall pick, stopped really being a good quarterback. Lamar's a 2-time MVP. So he's able to play. It's just, the offensive line isn't great at all. Defense, the beginning of the year was terrible.
Well, with all this controversy out there, what do you think it means for Sunday's game?
I'm picking the Packers here because Lamar's doubtful for this game. He's going to be out, probably.
Yeah, he may decide he wants to play, given all that's being said now.
Well, apparently that doesn't matter because we saw Max Crosby beg and plea for the Raiders to let him play. He's out with a quote-unquote, was it knee injury, I think it is? They're tanking.
Yeah.
They're benching a bunch of guys. Brock Bowers, who's been playing, all of a sudden goes on season-ending IR due to a lingering knee injury. There's 2 games left. He's been playing. He's been having some massive games. But all of a sudden now, season-ending IR, knee injury. The only thing that would be more obvious for the Raiders, besides benching Max Crosby when he desperately wants to play, who, by the way, he stormed out of the facility after he was told that, is if somehow Kenny Pickett becomes the quarterback and Geno Smith isn't playing anymore. Will that be an upgrade? I don't know. We'll see, though. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up, we make our Week 17 picks and predictions, as well as my Harvey Hot Hand. We already have 1-0. You got to watch the show, because 2 weeks ago, we talked about how are the Broncos minus 5.5-point favorites on the road when Mahomes is down with an ACL injury. So, yeah, we're 1-0 this week, but, yeah, we got Harvey Hot Hand 4-1 last week, 1-0 so far this week. I got my next 4 picks. All of that right after this 30-second break.
I'm making a change.
Stay tuned for that.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
I'll stick.
Well, welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is indeed every single week throughout the NFL season, we make our picks and predictions for who's going to win and cover the point spread. So, again, slight advantage here. I keep up with the point spreads. I make bets. I have proof. I have evidence. So, technically, let's get into it. Let's start with this one. So some point spreads have shifted. Some point spreads have moved. I was going to pick one for the Harvey Hot Hand if I were to do 5. So I'll give you an extra, the 6th Harvey Hot Hand bet, which is significantly lower than it is right now in some sports books. But let's begin. Not a great Christmas day. Not a great one. But we're going to improve here. That Lions game, we didn't talk about it. What an abomination. What an absolute abomination. You have a quarterback who had negative net passing yards, and you lose. In the first half, Max Brosmer, negative net passing yards, and you lose. He got sacked 7 times, and you lose. That is just an embarrassment of massive. That point spread moved to 9.5. We got it at 6.5. I mean, that defense did an incredible job. Jared Goff had 5 total turnovers. 5 total turnovers for Jared Goff. I mean, it was really, really bad. Broncos, again, the Chiefs walked all over you through large parts of that game. Bo Nix did not play very well, but late in the game able to pull it out, so I'm partially happy about that. But let's get into Saturday's 2 games, which is Texans and Chargers. I'm taking the Chargers this one. They're 1.5-point favorites in this game. I'm taking a look at this. Justin Herbert, he's playing with a broken hand the last 3 weeks. The team was talking about it, how much they're inspired by just the fact that not only is Justin Herbert playing with a broken hand, he's running over people with that broken hand. Caution to the wind. Why not? Putting some life into this team. Omarion Hampton's back as well. They're playing out of their minds with, seriously, 3rd and 4th string offensive linemen. It's incredibly impressive. They're finding ways to win. I'm saying the Chargers with their actually underrated defense. Nobody's really talking about it, but underrated defense. They get a win against C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. The Texans last week against the Raiders, they nearly lost that game. And not a good look. Give me Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers to get a big-time win over the Houston Texans and inch closer to that number 1 seed. All right, let's go. The next Saturday game, which is Ravens at the Packers. So this point spread moved. For this sake, I'll tell you the point spread is -4.5. It's now down to -3.5. I bet it at -3. So that is the 6th Harvey Hot Hand pick if I were to bet that one, is Packers -3. I think it's 3.5 now on FanDuel. You'll have to look around. But at the time we made this graphic, it was -4.5. I'll take the Packers straight up anyway. I don't think Snoop Huntley is going to lead the Ravens to victory. I think the Packers, they played with a lot of guts, a lot of grit, but did fall to the Chicago Bears last week. But it was close. Malik Willis, I think he'll do something here. Josh Jacobs supposedly is an all-go for this game as well. They were down a decent amount of guys, banged up, guys playing not at 100% anyway. I mean, it was something, but I just think that with the Baltimore Ravens, with Snoop Huntley, I don't think they're going to be able to get it done. Give me the Packers. Big-time win here. They're still vying for a serious spot. If the Bears somehow fall to the Niners, they have a shot at still taking the NFC North, so they're still a lot on the line for the Green Bay Packers this season. Give me the Packers to beat the Baltimore Ravens and cover the point spread. Next one, Buccaneers at Dolphins. I don't feel good about the Buccaneers covering this point spread, even though Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. But if you're playing for something, I need to see better than like a little bit above 50% completion percentage, air mailing passes, and somehow Mike Evans not really being part of the game plan at all. After the reason why you nearly beat the team 2 weeks ago is because, it was against the Falcons, I think it was. Yeah, against the Falcons. Mike Evans had like 160 yards on like 6 catches. And in the game, he didn't even break 50 yards. I don't get it personally. I think you got to put Mike Evans more in the game plan here in order to beat them. But the Miami Dolphins, they're going to run it through HN. That's where they find their level of success. Quinn Ewers, I think there'll be some costly mistakes here, but I don't love the Bucs covering, but they are playing for something. They are, still technically going for the NFC South. This is a very, very important game. So give me the Buccaneers to win and cover against the Miami Dolphins. Next one, Patriots at the Jets. The Patriots have a bunch of defensive injuries. I don't love that. I really don't love it. A couple offensive injuries as well. However, they're playing the New York Jets. Brady Cook is probably going to be the starting quarterback again. Brady Cook's not a good quarterback. Not even close to it. The Patriots, they're still going for the number 1 seed. Drake May, really good game last week in a loss. Actually, no, they won, though. That was the Ravens game. I'm thinking 2 weeks ago against the Buffalo Bills. It was 380 yards, was it, last week? A number of touchdowns as well. Travion Henderson, he should be back. He's questionable. Roger Stevenson, he's been playing a little bit better. I don't trust his hands still, so be careful of that. The Jets have no run defense. They got absolutely obliterated. A couple weeks ago against the Miami Dolphins, they got absolutely run on entirely, so I don't trust this defense. Ramondre Stevenson and or Travion Henderson should run all over him, and Drake May, technically still an MVP. He's number 2 still for the MVP. Some sports books have him for number 1, though, so I'm taking the Patriots. Big-time win over the helpless New York Jets. All right, let's go Seahawks at the Panthers. I'm going upset here. Give me the Panthers to upset the Seattle Seahawks, and here's why. Look ahead to next week. I know technically if they lose this game, next week is meaningless, but that's the whole point. The Seahawks play the Rams, I believe, next week. No, they don't play the Rams. They're looking ahead. They're still playing for the number 1 seed anyway. The 49ers are also playing for their for the number 1 seed as well. There's a lot of number 1 seed opportunities here where it comes to the Bears, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks. You look ahead game. Bryce Young, since he got benched, your bounce quarterback, he may have bounced back. 45 touchdowns. I think he has 15 picks, 5,400 total yards. That's a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's an incredibly good quarterback. But honestly, the success will be through Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. And by the way, Rico Dowdle is playing for like $1 million incentive. So he's going to want to get some big-time payday with a big-time performance. He needs, I think, 100 total scrimmage yards, a little over 100 total scrimmage yards here. So give me the Panthers, upsets the Seattle Seahawks, which obviously they cover the plus 7.5. Let's go Jaguars at the Colts. This point spread dropped somehow. It was 6.5, now it's 5.5. Give me the Jaguars minus 5.5 over the Indianapolis Colts. I get it. Phillip Rivers commanded a pretty decent offense last week. However, the Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely obliterated the Colts last time they played. It was an embarrassment of epic proportions. I think it's going to be a similar thing in this one. I think they're going to focus on Jonathan Taylor, minimizing his impact. Trevor Lawrence, he's on an absolute heater the last month and a half, 2 months. I think that continues. Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence seem to be working out something great. The defense has been opportunistic all season and capitalizing on that. I think this is another Jaguars blowout. Give me the win on the road and to cover the 5.5 point spread. Let's go Cardinals at the Bengals. Bad defense versus bad defense. But here's the only difference, though. It's Joe Burrow versus Jacoby Brissett. I'm taking Joe Burrow 15 times out of 10. He should have won MVP last year if the Bengals won more games. The season's over, basically, but he put up a really, really good performance last week after getting shut out by the Ravens 2 weeks ago. I say that continues. The dominant Joe Burrow performance. T. Higgins should be back for this game as well. Jamar Chase is going to be out there, obviously. Joe Burrow is going to absolutely pick apart this Cardinals defense here. Give me the Bengals to win and cover the -7-point spread. Let's go Saints at the Titans here. Titans really, really good performance against the third-string Kansas City Chiefs unit with a bunch of people on season-ending IR. However, through a decent portion of that game, the Chiefs had an opportunity to capitalize and actually take the lead. Against the Saints, though, Tyler Shuck, I think he could be the Saints franchise quarterback moving forward. Now, they could draft a quarterback with how low their pick, or rather how high their pick is in this year's draft. However, Tyler Shuck gives you something. He's actually performed, I'm going to say, for the expectations we had, exceptionally well. I mean, he's been a legitimate barn burner for the Buccaneers, for the Panthers, for the Bucs again. I mean, this is an opportunity here for Tyler Shuck to continue his campaign of telling Kellen Moore, hey, I'm your guy of the future, at least for the soon, for moving forward, maybe next year. Who knows after that? But I do think that the Saints on the road, they'll be able to get it done against the Titans, who Tony Pollard's played pretty well. Cam Ward, his interception numbers have plummeted since, the first 8-9 games of the season. But I think the Saints right now, with how Tyler Shuck's been playing, give me the Saints to win and cover on the road against the Titans. Next one, Steelers at the Browns. Give me the Steelers in this one. The Browns defense has been up and down lately, shockingly up and down. Will Myles Garrett break the record against an immobile Aaron Rodgers? It seems like it. It feels like it. I think they're just overall, though, he might break the record this upcoming week, but I'm looking at the Steelers saying they're the better team. They're the more effective team. They put up a great performance and really, through parts of the season, have looked very, very good. Mike Tomlin got his 9th win, so he continues his non-losing season streak. I'm saying Rodgers. And by the way, technically, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they've clinched the division yet. So the Ravens still have a shot if they win, which I don't think they're obviously going to do against the Packers. But I think the Steelers, they're trying to, prove to themselves maybe that they could be a legitimate contender. We talked about it earlier. I got no faith in the Steelers in the playoffs whatsoever. I think they've been too up and down. But if they want to prove me wrong, go up against the Cleveland Browns, led by Shedeur Sanders, who I think has only 2 games of double-digit QBR points. Not a good look. And win the game. I'll take the Steelers. -3. Cover the point spread on the road. Next one, Giants at the Raiders. The battle of who can tank harder without drawing flags by the NFL. They're benching everybody. There's people who are injured who are now going to miss this game. Tyler Newbin, he's out for this game. Theo Johnson's probably good. He's been missing practice with an illness. He'll be out. Andrew Thomas is out for this game. On the other side, Max Crosby got benched, I think, because he wants to play, but he has a knee injury. Sure, Brock Bowers, he's put in some massive games, but apparently on season-ending IR due to a knee injury. Not a good look. These two teams are fighting for the number 1 overall seed in the upcoming draft. I think the Giants, though, they're going to eke out a win. It's not going to look good. I think will we see another 37-yard game by Jackson Dart where he throws 13 passes and doesn't have a first attempt with 6 minutes left in the second quarter? I don't know. Mike Kafka might be screwing him over in that regard, but I just think that the Giants are the better team. The Raiders are benching their only defender. I mean, you have Geno Smith at quarterback, even against one of the worst secondaries in the NFL, which the Giants have. Benching one of your secondary is terrible, one of your better defensive backs. Your left tackle is out for this game. I still think the Giants are a better team. The Raiders just have nobody. Brock Bowers gone. Max Crosby gone. You trust Trey Tucker? You trust Ashton Genty? Maybe against the Giants in this game you might, but I don't. Give me the Giants win on the road. I know Giants fans are going to get mad at me, but it's battle of who can tank the hardest. The Giants are a bad team that by injury lost their guys, and they've won some games after that. The Raiders are a bad team who benched their best players already. Again, I'm saying bench, they're hurt. I don't believe that. So, battle of who can tank harder. They're doing a really, really good job. I think this does draw some red flags if I'm Roger Goodell, and I'm looking at it like, all these guys were playing at a high level, and now they're not playing anymore. I wonder what they're doing. Give me the Giants win over this one. All right, this Eagles at the Buffalo Bills. This one's a little bit risky, but I just think the Eagles, they're so fraudulent. I can't trust them. Josh Allen, on the other hand, I trust him a little bit more. 2024 NFL MVP last year. He's still trying to catch up with the New England Patriots for the number one spot in the AFC and still vying for a number one spot in the AFC conference. So I'm saying the Bills get the win here. The Eagles are just too inconsistent. Lane Johnson's out for this game. I don't trust the Eagles whatsoever. I hope they prove me wrong at some point. But A.J. Brown, after getting his wisdom teeth out, apparently he's not on the injury report anymore. I wish I had whatever he took to get him back on. He took about 3 days off. I was out for 2 weeks. So I don't know. I got to get in contact with A.J. Brown about what he did. But yeah, he got his wisdom teeth out. He was on his injury designation. He's off of it now. So I don't know. I just think the Buffalo Bills are the better team. Give me the Bills to win and cover. All right, Bears at the 49ers. This is for the number one seed. The 49ers have the fate of their future in their hands. They have a very good opportunity. If they win out, they get the number one seed, basically. So I'm saying this game against the really, really good Chicago Bears, I would say, based on expectations, at least you had last year, the shockingly incredible Chicago Bears. But I think the 49ers are operating at an extremely high level right now. Their defense is really banged up, but they're still playing at a very, very high level. Christian McCaffrey is playing like Panthers Christian McCaffrey. So offensive player of the year, pseudo MVP Christian McCaffrey. They'll never give it to him because it's a quarterback award, but he's playing at a very, very high level. George Kittle, he's banged up. I would need to check the injury report. Even if he doesn't go, I still think the Niners got it in the bag. Give me the 49ers win at home on Sunday Night Football. And finally, Rams at the Falcons. I got to take the Rams here. The Falcons, I don't trust Kirk Cousins against that defense. He's too immobile. The offensive line is okay, the Falcons is. I got to take the better team who, again, fate of the number one seed still in their hands here. There's too much on the line. Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, that defense, that offensive line. They're playing at too high of a level for me to pick against them, even to pick the Falcons to even cover. I think the Rams are too good of a team. Give me the Rams to win and cover on the road. And those are my picks for Week 17. 2 weeks left, this week and next week, for the NFL regular season. I'm still stuck behind you.
Yeah, some interesting picks you got there, Nate. 11-5 last week, 10-6 in the point spread, just same as I got.
Yeah,
oh,
we met.
Tied on that. I'm only one game under on the point spread now.
Are you actually? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, one game. I'd like to get just be a hair over 500 for the year if I could help it. My picks are pretty good. I'm over 65%, almost 66%.
That's incredible.
That's pretty good. So we'll see what happens here. Off to a kind of a poor start here. I got the Cowboys won, but they didn't cover the point spread. And the Lions, how did they lose that game against the Vikings? It was the Vikings defense smothered them. And Butterfingers Goff, who had five turnovers, a couple of picks and fumbles. It was just embarrassing. I couldn't believe it. The Broncos, they pulled it out, but as you say, it was a closer game than it should have been. And moving on to Sunday's games, Saturday and Sunday's games, and Monday's games, I should say. The Texans at the Chargers. I disagree with you on this one. I'm taking the Texans, mainly because no quarterback faces more pressure than Justin Herbert. At 43.7% of the snaps, he's pressured. There's no offensive line in front of him. It's a revolving door of people. It's changed up every week who's going to play, and it's just it's constantly being reshuffled. And also, he's playing with a broken hand. So I give the guy a ton of credit. They'd be nowhere without him, and he's a warrior, that's for sure. But he's playing against Houston as the only team with 2 double-digit sack artists on the team, Hunter and Anderson. And the Chargers had 7 sacks against the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. I think it's going to be a long day for Justin Herbert. I think it'll be very hard for them to win this game, even if they're playing at home. You know, who needs this game more? The Chargers are playing for the number 1 seed in the division. They're at 11-4 behind the Broncos at 13-3. They play the Broncos in the last week of the season, which that'll be a game I'm going to be watching because I do think they'll. I don't know. I think the Chargers are going to lose this game. So That it could be the end of the high stakes on that one. The Texans at 10-5 are the number 7 seed. They're one game behind the Jaguars for the division lead in the AFC South. They play the Colts next week, so that's a win they should get. The Jaguars are playing the Titans next week, so they probably win too. So they need the Jaguars to lose this week against the Colts, and I'm not sure that's going to happen. So maybe the Chargers have more to play for than the Texans here. The Texans probably thinking we're going to be the 7th seed. Moving on to the Ravens and the Packers, I'm also taking the Packers. Even though Love is out, Lamar is probably likely out. I think even if Lamar plays, he will not be 100%. I think Willis is capable. Malik Willis, a capable backup for Love, and he has some revenge to play for because the Ravens let him go. The Ravens are out of it if they lose this game. The Packers clinch a playoff spot if they win at home, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think there'll be a Love fest there, no pun intended, even though Love's not going to play. I like the Packers at home, celebrating playoff spot with a win. Moving on to the Bucs and the Dolphins. The Bucs, man, how about a team falling apart? They need to win out, and they will win the division. Can they do it? It's very questionable. The Dolphins are out of it already, and they seem to be tanking by starting Ewers, I should say. Bucs they've lost 6 of 7, and are now a game behind the Panthers. The Bucs defense ranks 28th during that span. Baker Mayfield, an early MVP candidate, has been one of the worst passers over the past 7 games. The Bucs have everything to play for. The Dolphins improve their draft pick order with a loss. I'm taking the Bucs to find a way to win this one. The Patriots at the Jets. Drake May still has, I think, outside chance to win the MVP. He lifted the Pats from worst to first in the NFC East this year. Pats still have a chance at the number 1 seed, 31% chance. Pats need this game more. They still have not won the division. The Jets they've lost by worse than 3 TDs in the last 3 games. Brady Cook at quarterback is just not competitive, I don't think. Giving up 37 points a game. And the defense, it shows that their defense has had it too. The Pats have injuries, but I still think they roll in this game. Seahawks at the Panthers. Both teams moved into first place in their divisions last week. Nick Jigba, I think, is the offensive player of the year. McMillan for the Panthers may be the rookie of the year. The Seahawks are the better team, but the Panthers beat the Rams and the Packers, so they can beat elite teams. I think Darnold showed he has what it takes in that win against the Rams last week when he played pretty poor in most of the game, but came alive at the end and hung in there and won the game in overtime. I think both teams need the win. I mean, the Seahawks want the number 1 seed. They want to win the division, and the Panthers, they've got to keep pace with the Bucs, who are probably going to win, and making it a showdown in the last game of the season between the Bucs and the Panthers. So I'm taking the Seahawks to win this game. The Jags at the Colts. I like, even though Rivers has played much better last week, he did play pretty well. I think he had 277 yards passing. The Bucs are on a roll. Lawrence is living up to the hype. He seems to be plugged into Liam Cohen's offense. He seems to have learned it now, and that they've won 6 straight, and they've won by an average margin of 18.8 points in those 3 wins. So they're really hitting on all cylinders. The Jags focused on winning the division, and the Colts' chances of the playoffs are very slim. So give me the Jags in this one. Cardinals at the Bengals. Cardinals defense 21st in passer rating, 29th in defensive EPA per dropback, 19th in passing yards allowed per attempt. I think they'll struggle against Burrow at home. They've lost 7 straight. The margin of defeat the last 3 games has been more than 18 points. They play well against poor defenses. They beat the Cowboys 24-17, and so they have a chance to to play well here because the Bengals have a horrible defense. But Burrow at home, I think, will be the difference in this one. The Saints at the Titans. It's a meaningless game for both teams, but I like the Saints because of the way that their defense and their quarterback have been playing. The Saints have won 3 in a row. The Titans beat the Chiefs, but Minshew was out early in that game. Tyler Shug has a 68.2% completion rate, which is 4th in the NFL right now. Their defense is allowing only 14.3 points per game. The Titans and Ward have improved, but the Saints, I think, have improved more, and I think they'll beat them on the road. The Steelers at Cleveland. Pittsburgh's defense has turned the corner, I think. They're better against the run now. They played well against the run against the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Lions, who all have good running games. The offense is scoring 27.3 points a game in the last 3 games. Judkins for the Browns is done for the season, so they have really no running game. Metcalf, on the other hand, got suspended for fighting with a fan. It's just unbelievable. I couldn't fathom that. Stefanski, interestingly enough, is 4-1 at home against the Steelers in his tenure with the Browns. If the Ravens lose on Saturday night, the Steelers clinch before they even play the game. So they might, if that happens, maybe Cleveland has a chance. So the Steelers won't be that focused. And they'll probably sit a lot of players. I still like the Steelers and Garrett. I think Garrett, though, will get his 1 sack and set the record. Giants at the Raiders. You made a great case for the Giants. The Raiders not playing anybody. It's a meaningless game. The loser will likely get the number 1 pick in the draft. The Raiders' defense was good against the Texans last week, and they almost won that game. The Giants and Kafka are protecting Dart, and I don't think they'll let him loose in this game, so he won't get hurt in the last couple of games of the season. I like the home team and count on the Giants being at least smart enough to lose. The Eagles at the Bills. The Eagles really don't have anything to play for here. They've won the division. They can't get the number 1 seed. They need the Bears to lose out to get to the number 2 seed. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they think it will happen either. Bills still have a shot at both the division and the number 1 seed, so they get to play at home. Barkley should be able to run well against the Bills' 30th ranked run defense, but will they let him play that much? They may be resting players on this, particularly in the second half, and probably next week as well. The Bills have 12 consecutive home wins in December and January, and Allen is peaking at the right time. Give me the Bills in this one. The Bears at the 49ers. The Bears had that thrilling victory over the Packers last week. That's one of the best games of the season. I really enjoyed that game. 49ers have a chance at the division title and the number 1 seed in the NFC. This is great coaching matchups in this game. Shanahan against Ben Johnson and Allen against Saleh on the defensive side. Can the 49ers stop the Bears' running attack? That's a question mark. But I think Saleh will have a scheme for that. The Bears are averaging 170.2 yards per game rushing. I like Saleh's defensive scheme and Purdy at home to beat the Bears. Another thing about the 49ers, I'll say they look a lot like the team that made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago with Purdy and McCaffrey both playing very well. And they talk about the 49ers being all banged up on defense. So they lost Bosa and Warner, weeks ago. And Bosa hadn't even played, right? And Warner has been out for weeks. Saleh's found a way to compensate for that. They have a good defense.
Warner might come back for the playoffs, by the way.
Okay, so that would be even better for them. But Saleh's got a good defense. Forget those guys. They've been gone. Look at what they've got. They have a good defense. So I like the 49ers. I think the 49ers are the Cinderella team here. They may make a lot of noise here in the playoffs. And finally, the Rams at the Falcons. I think the Rams are first in EPA per play and 6th on defense. They're still one of the best teams in the league, I think, although they fell off a little bit. Losing to Seattle was a big hit for them. The Falcons are 22nd and 19th in those stats, so they're not totally bad. They're on a 2-game winning streak as well, and Bijan Robinson is legit, but so is the Rams' defense, 10th in yards allowed and EPA per carry. So maybe a tough day for Bijan. Kirk Cousins' play should be of concern to the Rams because he's played well the last couple of weeks. But I think the Rams are the better team and have a lot to play for in this one and need the win. So those are my picks.
I will say, we have 2 differences, and that's it. 3 differences. I am behind you by...
What are our 3 differences? With the Giants and the Raiders. You're probably
so
right on that one. You may be right
games.
on that one.
A little error with the win-loss record, but yes, you're up by 6 games on me.
Uh-huh.
So this could half it if I nail it all.
But the three games we differ on, the Giants and
the Texans Chargers. I have Chargers. You have Texans.
I don't think you're going to get that one.
Seahawks Panthers. I got Panthers. You got Seahawks.
I don't think you get that one.
And then
either.
Giants Raiders.
Yeah, you might get that.
You
one.
think I go 1 for 2 on my picks?
On the 3 that we differ on now.
Interesting.
I think I got you on the 2 of them.
Well,
We'll
that
see.
doesn't bode well for the Harvey Hothead.
Well,
It's
we'll
a little
see.
spoiler here.
Let's hear what you got.
Sure. Every single week that we make our picks, my favorite topic comes along, and that is indeed my Harvey Hothead, where I pick the 5 games, sometimes 6, sometimes in this case 4, sometimes 8. Who knows? Whatever we talk about, that qualifies as a potential Harvey Hothead pick. I give you the best teams that you should bet on if you are betting on these games. We're up big this year. We're up like 57%, I think it was. We went 4-1 last week. We're making some big-time moves now. We're 1-0 so far this week. We had Broncos minus 5.5 on the early point spread. It opened at 5.5. You have to eat that up, especially once you hear Mahomes down with an ACL and the sports books didn't move. And then it skyrocketed to 13.5. Not great, but we were able to cover the point spread. We would have lost that point spread if it was 13.5. We got it in early, and that's why you got to watch the show. You got to keep up with sportsbooks. But the Harvey Hothead, I give you the 5 teams, in this case 4, where I think you should sports bet. So let's begin with technically the second pick of Week 17's Harvey Hothead.
Texans at Chargers.
Give me the Chargers here. I'm taking the Chargers all the way. Right now, that's a 1.5 point spread. What does that mean? It's going to be a close game, most likely. That's what Vegas is telling you. Well, how have these teams fared in close games? Houston, 5-5. Chargers, 6-1. Who's the better team in close games? Obviously, the Los Angeles Chargers. What I do think this game will come down to is how well can you move the football? How well can you move the chains, and especially in the red area? How well do you do? Well, let's compare the 2 teams. The Los Angeles Chargers are the 3rd best offense on 3rd down. How's their defense on 3rd down? It's the 6th best defense on 3rd down. What about red zone? The Chargers have the 4th best red zone defense in the NFL. Houston's red zone offense, 31st. They do not do well in the red area. So if the Chargers can turn potential touchdowns into field goals and they go down and they score touchdowns, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a big-time Charger win. They have an opportunity to actually win the number 1 seed if they win games and Denver loses. Last week, actually, with this win, they may be out of it. But I still think the Chargers right now, they're going to beat the Houston Texans. Their defense is shockingly good. It's shockingly underrated. They have the 6th best defense in the NFL when it comes to total defense. I think that'll come up big here. They'll make some big-time plays in this one. Get a sack or 2 late in the game to seal the win here. Give me the Chargers to cover the 1.5 point spread. They win 24-20. The next one.
Jaguars at Colts.
Give me the Jaguars here. For me, this doesn't make a lot of sense. This point spread was 6.5, and I bet it. Then once it moved to 5.5, I lost about, 53 cents on my bet because it moved down an entire point. I'm eating that up all the way. Give me the Jaguars minus 5.5 in this one. Trevor Lawrence in his last 5 games, 267.6 passing yards a game, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks, a 112.8 passer rating. That's incredible compared to what we saw early in the year where it just did not look good whatsoever. Indy, 31st ranked defense against the pass, 25th in total defense. They've lost 5 straight. Yes, Phillip Rivers could command a decent offense, and hearing him call audibles and command the offensive line last week was fun to watch. You have a 44-year-old quarterback. Let's be real. Against an opportunistic, hungry defense that right now is playing for something to prove. And have you watched the post-game locker room videos that they post on social media? They are hyped. Give me the Jaguars to win big here. They cover the 5.5 point spread. They win 27-17. Next one.
Seahawks at Panthers.
Again, this one I'm going upset here. Too much. Again, this is point spread. So the 7.5 for a team looking ahead here. Yeah, I'm taking that all the way. The Seahawks, they play the 49ers next week. That's for potentially the number 1 spot in the NFC. I think Sam Darnold wants that bye. He wants that buffer. So when the inevitable playoff game comes where nobody trusts him and where he struggled last year getting absolutely decapitated by the Los Angeles Rams defense, he wants that bye. He wants a break. So at least he can say he made it to the divisional round. That would be good to hear. In this case, though, he won't, because I think the Panthers are going to capitalize on this one. They're looking ahead. The Panthers are also playing for something. They're playing for Bryce Young to make the playoffs, which, saying that last year, you would have gotten laughed out of whatever building you were in because Bryce Young looked like a cataclysmic bust. I'll say this, though. Here's where the X factor is going to come into play. The Seahawks have lost 2 of their 3 games when they've allowed 100-plus rushing yards. The Panthers have rushed for under 100 yards, I think, 4 times this season. And they're 7-4 when they rush for over 100 or more yards. So there's an opportunity for Rico Dowdle to end. By the way, Rico Dowdle has a massive incentive. He has to have like 120, I think, plus scrimmage yards in this game in order to get that, or for the rest of the season to get that bonus. I think he gets it in this game. I think the Panthers, they'll upset a team that's looking ahead next week, but they'll fall short. So the game is basically meaningless in week 18 for the number 1 spot for them. I will take the Panthers here to capitalize on a big time win. They win 28-24. They cover the 7.5-point spread. And finally,
Saints at Titans.
give me the Saints in this one here. Tyler Shuck. After, the second round pick in this prior draft, nobody had expectations for him. He lost the job to Spencer Rattler, who didn't win an NFL game until this year. I believe, what was it, against the Giants? Was that the first game that he won? I believe it was. Yeah, he wasn't even able to beat out Spencer Rattler. But the last 6 games, you take out that first start, the last 6 games, 68.9% completion percentage, averaging 248 yards a game and a 92.8 passer rating. And he's on a 3-game winning streak. So, and by the way, he's absolutely screwed over the Bucs and the Panthers. Yeah. Both opportunities for them to actually capitalize in their own division. He said, no, hold up. You're not going anywhere. And he put up like 270 yards last week, which is incredibly impressive. The Titans, they've had some trouble, some really deep trouble against the Mahomes-less Chiefs last week. There was opportunity if the Chiefs drive down a little bit and score, they take the lead in that game. They were able to pull away late because, again, they're starting their third-string quarterback. But I think ultimately, this will be a game where Tyler Shuck shows up again and beats a team where I've said all season they're not an NFL team. The Titans, they got nothing right now. Now, Tony Pollard has given them a running game in some games. But overall, they have no offensive line. Their quarterback's not great, improving but not great. Running game is very inconsistent. Defense non-existent. No skill position players whatsoever. And the guys they spent money on are not performing. And by the way, they don't have a head coach. They're on an interim. Not a great look if you're the Titans. They got to figure out a lot of stuff. Tyler Shuck, however, with Kellen Moore, he's played pretty good. All right, give me the Saints, to cover the minus 2.5 points, but they win 26-21. And those are my week 17 bets of the Harvey Hot. And again, I'll reiterate, that would-be 5th pick is Packers minus 3. You can't get that anymore, but I got it early in the week. Packers minus 3. That would be 6th pick, in this case 5th pick, of the Harvey Hot end. Now, as always, you go and tell me what picks you think that I could have changed, what maybe that I should swap.
I'm surprised you didn't go with the Bengals over the Cardinals.
7 points is 7. A lot for
against the Cardinals.
Joe
Burrow.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett has played some games. He set the NFL record for
Burrow's at home.
That's true.
So that was one. And then how about the Rams over the Falcons? That's a minus 8.5. I guess that may be a little high, but still. The Rams are one of the best teams in the league against the Falcons.
They lost to the Seahawks and they lost to the Panthers. And that was when Matt Stafford was on 28 touchdowns, no picks.
I can't see the Panthers beating the Seahawks. So
it's a look ahead. Spread. The Seahawks are looking ahead at the 49ers Week 18 for the could-be number 1 seed.
The Seahawks, they've done so much. They beat the Rams. Now they just got to follow through in the last 2 games, and they can wind up with the 1 seed.
They can, absolutely.
Yeah. And then the Chargers and the Texans. I think that the Chargers are winning by 4 points in this game. I'm not sure. I don't think
they win by a field goal. I don't care.
Yeah.
They win by a safety. I still care.
Yeah.
I just need them to win. Because, how rare is a 1-point victory?
I think those other 2 games would be a little easier, but, I guess usually when I pick them, I'm wrong, so. I'm not so good in the point spread.
Hey,
But those are
I'm struggling to
close
show
ones.
the
I'm
point spread.
surprised
What's
with
my
the
point spread
Panthers Seahawks. That one I don't see the Panthers. I mean, they're an inconsistent team.
I'm
The Seahawks
hovering
are a
around
very
500 this year.
consistent team. That defense, one of the best in the league. You know, so we'll see. It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Week 17.
We'll have more definition on who's going to make the playoffs here after this week for sure.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of doors will be shut after this week, depending on who wins.
And then there'll be some games that looks like the last week. I think the Bucks and the Panthers will be,
that could be
the end of the season. That last game will determine it. And then
depending on
if
the
Chargers, the Chargers and the Broncos too. If you're right here on this pick, the Chargers beat the Texans.
Technically, no. Denver's a game and a half, so it wouldn't matter.
A game, and how can there be a game and a half?
Well, because they already won their game.
Oh yeah, but so if the Chargers
I would need to look at the
then they're
tiebreakers.
even, and then
we
then
need to
they
look at the
play-
tiebreaker.
If they play at the end of the season, that last game, and the Chargers beat them, don't the Chargers wind up with
Well,
the 1
because they
seed?
beat them early in the year. Well, I don't know if it's the 1 seed necessarily, because again, the Patriots are still there.
Yeah, well, but still, that could be a big game. That could be a very big game. Those two games at the end of the last week of the season.
Yeah.
The Broncos and the Chargers, and the Bucks and the Panthers. Those are two big games.
There's also an avenue where the Jaguars could also, and the Jaguars and the Bills could get the 1 seed.
So, a lot to watch here coming up in the last couple of weeks.
NFC West:
And
Seahawks 12-3, Niners and Rams 11-4.
I mean, there's games on Saturday, games on Sunday, games on Monday.
Yeah.
So it's almost a game every day these days, the way this is going.
Well, if
with
you
the
remember during
NFL.
COVID, there was Tuesday games.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that wraps up today's show. We thank you for the constant support as always. We'll be back again Tuesday show. We'll recap a bunch of games from week 17. You'll have your weekly report as always. This Lamar Jackson situation. Right now, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. There's you swallow your pride and give him the extension, or we have a duplication of a few years ago where he was trying to figure out what the extension number will be.
Oh, maybe they'll dump Harbaugh.
They should. I don't think that's hot. I will say, though, the Baltimore Sun did have a poll of what the Ravens should do next.
And?
The leading vote
Was?
trade Lamar.
Really?
Trade Lamar.
Oh, interesting.
There was what, I think a little over 1,000 votes total.
That's not very many out of all of that.
True, but I think just based on the sample size that they had, the winning vote, it was close, was trade Lamar for as many draft picks as you can get. So there you go. All right, Isaiah, we'll see you Tuesday right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.